newspapers, and have you joined us as we take a look at them one after the other. So we will jump at some of these newspapers right here and right now. Let's start with the Punch newspaper as usual. We'll take some stories from the Punch. Fuel subsidy, FG begins 40% pay rise for workers April ending. I guess that's a good news. FG begins 40% pay rise for workers April ending. Maybe we'll take a slice of that story. Barring any last-minute change of plans, the federal government will begin payment of the planned increase in civil servants' pay by the end of this month, that is April, according to Punch. The president, Muhammadu Buhari, is expected to give his final assent to disbursement any moment from now. If the proposal sails through, it means the increase will be coming about 2 months to the June date proposed for the removal of petrol subsidy. Officials of the federal government told the Punch newspaper that the fresh pay increase tagged consequential allowance will lead to a 40% rise in the current pay of government workers. Amunda Musibodi is here. Plato, good morning.
Good morning. Ibukun. And of course, good morning, Nigeria. Different drama, different day. But it's quite interesting. We are doing a pay rise when 96% of our revenue goes into debt servicing. And we're left with just 4% of.
Wait, when I saw the news, right?
Both of you should not be killjoy this morning. Both of you should not be killjoy.
Wait, as much as it sounds like a good news, right? I'm just thinking the increase is for government workers, and I'm like, I'm not working for the government. What happens to me when the impact of the fuel subsidy actually happens on the economy?
Just to the employer.
And why are you going to spend a certain amount of money to actually increase salary of workers, which is going to go for years, like till maybe forever, while you're also planning to remove fuel subsidy because you're trying to cut the cost? How does it balance?
You don't get it.
Well, I don't. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with increasing salaries. We know that the cost of living has increased. But my point is, and I don't want to be sentimental about this. It's actually from the pure economic point of view, which is that if your revenue, out of your revenue, 96% goes into servicing debts, only 4%. So you have to, and now you are accruing more. Now, don't forget that we have not even cut down on our cost of governance. So we are accruing more, which means that we'll definitely have to begin to borrow again, to service recurrent expenditure and, consumption, as it were. And that, for me, is not the way to go. If you want to remove fuel subsidy, I feel strongly that there are other things you can do. See, interestingly, we have our 5% tax, which is on the current cost of pump price of fuel. But I think government needs to begin to look at other novel ways of dealing with this thing. Okay, some people have talked about the toll system. In Nigeria, we used to have a toll gate before now. Some have talked about the toll system. Some have talked about other things. Provided this does not amount to double charge, okay, or a double taxation on the people, that definitely is.
I feel as much as this is great news for government workers, there should actually be focused on solving what the problem truly is. Because an analogy that I'm thinking right now is, I have a car and I know that the car is consuming more fuel than normal, and I'm thinking, let me look for a source for me to be able to buy more fuel. I keep buying fuel, but then the car keeps sucking the fuel. Why not solve the problem of it consuming fuel in the first place?
Okay, I'm not going to jump into this fray with you guys. Good morning to you, Oluwaseun, and the rest on Facebook. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. Please make comments so that I can appreciate you more. Tales by Twilight with Malam Sulim. Subsidy removal might end our unity at large. Nigerian government should get an expert to advise her if this policy will be good for all and sundry. Thank you, Madam Sule, for your comment. I'd like to hear more from you. We are on Facebook Live, so let's get this matter discussed. Let's go to Adamawa. PDP governors demand Adamawa Rex trial. Binani sues INEC. And this is one very important issue that we should talk about this morning. The story is big. Maybe we'll return to it at 8 o'clock, but it's a very big story. It's big in the sense that it has diverse implications for our democracy, actually.
And things keep unraveling that makes it more hilarious and sad at the same time.
Yeah, INEC on Monday ordered the resident electoral commissioner for Adamawa State, Hudu Yunusari, to stay away from the commission state office. INEC's action was premised on Yunusari's declaration of All Progressives Congress governorship candidate Aisha Dahiru, popularly known as Binani, as a governor-elect in Saturday's supplementary election. The commission also barred the REC from coming to the office in a letter signed by the secretary to the commission, Rose Oriaran Anthony. I saw the letter yesterday. The REC's action continued to attract criticism on Monday as the People's Democratic Party governors called for its prosecution. But Binani at the Federal High Court in Abuja on Monday filed a suit seeking an order to prevent INEC and its agents from taking any further steps towards the declaration of the winner of the election pending the determination of a court case. Yunusa Ari has announced Binani as the winner of the supplementary polls while the collation of the result was underway, causing confusion in the state and drawing consternation across the country. Before the declaration, Binani was trailing behind Governor Ahmadu Fintiri of PDP, who had established a margin lead of 31,249.
I mean, it's actually quite interesting, the development, because after the REC declared a winner in Adamawa State, he was summoned to Abuja to come before a committee. But it's actually interesting to know that even the committee that he was summoned to come before, they were affected by aviation strike, so they could not get return flights to even be in Abuja. Yeah. And even the said REC and his colleagues could also not appear before the committee for the same reasons, which happens to be the aviation workers being on strike and grounding the airport.
And that's why they ask him to stay away from anything INEC in Adamawa, but he should find himself in Abuja. Now, Plato, let's look at some of these very critical issues. First, I'm surprised that Binani went to court. Maybe
the swiftness.
I was wondering, not even the swiftness. The fact is, did she also consider that sort of announcement a valid announcement, an announcement without collation, without result, without data? I mean, I thought the announcement that we usually see normally is to see the numbers, the local government and everything itemized.
Isn't there an aphorism that the law avails the swifts and not the indolent?
Oh. Okay.
So, if that is the case, if that is the case, I think definitely Binani is being clever by half, whether you like it or not, in what she's doing. And I'm beginning to look at it seriously from the angle of the law of agency. Binani is trying to enforce that. I don't care whether your agent has acted rightly or wrongly. As long as he's your agent
and acting on your behalf,
there is that vicarious liability on you to be held liable for whatever action that your agent has taken.
But this agency acted out of line.
Well, it is not
it's
my
not
business.
Even in his position
you have incurred damages as a result of the action of your agent, which is what Binani would definitely want to claim.
Because it's a meddlesome interloper. That's what they call such a person. He usurped somebody else's role.
I sincerely, yours. I think we might be in for a very long legal battle.
It does look like it.
We might be in, and I fear that Adama may not experience a handover.
So Adama may join the cycle election.
Exactly.
Because one of the things that she was saying,
Swift expedite action on this so that we don't get into that quagmire. But it is interesting how politicians actually think.
That's what I was saying. I mean, that illegality can be validated by the law.
Because one of the things that she's actually filing for is for the declaration, another declaration not to be made until the case in court is already finished.
And you don't know when that case in court will be, will be dispensed with. It speaks a lot. It speaks a lot about this, the psyche, the mindset of politicians who are just so keen on, a win-win, and they will go to any extent.
Okay, so I have two issues. Let's listen to what Sheyi Makinde said when he went to the governor of Oyo State, when he went to visit Fintiri yesterday in Adamawa. He was actually there.
Come here personally, deliver a message of hope to him. That he shouldn't worry at all. We know that INEC has enough people of conscience to do what is right for Adamawa State and by extension for our democracy in Nigeria. And also wish to encourage the people of Adamawa State. They've spoken and they spoke very loud, and they should be rest assured that the whole world is watching, and they should just be calm. Things will be resolved, and what their decision will be respected by the authorities. It's a shame, really, that somebody of that caliber will only do something like that. But again, we have stories to tell, and with time as we evolve, the process of getting people who will do certain things for us will be a little more vigorous, and people like the current reg will have no place in our future democratic process.
That was the governor of Oyo State in Adamawa yesterday. I hope the next story now, we can deal with this one when you call us. We might also further that at 8 o'clock. But there is this viral video that I want Seun to pull up for us on Facebook. Seun, please pull up this video for us on Facebook so people could see it. It was viral last week. It's a viral video where Oyo police now have arrested a convict Muslim cleric for allegedly harassing officers during stop and search. The Oyo State Police Command have announced the arrest and conviction of a Muslim cleric, Alpha Ahmed Atidade, 28, who harassed her operatives during a stop and search routine check in Ibadan. The State Command, in a release made available to newsmen by the Oyo Police Public Relations Officer, SP Dewale Ochifeso, maintained that the cleric, who claimed to be a son to popular Ibadan cleric Sheikh Oluri, was arrested after assaulting policemen on the Ibadan Expressway. The command in the release wrote on Saturday, 4th February 2023, while on stop and search duty along Ibadan Express Road, Oyo State, one Ahmed Atidade, 28-year-old male, assaulted and threatened to kill the police officers who stopped his vehicle for routine checks and questioning. He was subsequently arrested and charged to court on Thursday, 9th February. We shall not allow any individual to undermine and ridicule our officers and, by extension, our policing system in Nigeria. We have a lot of responsibilities as citizens of this country to respect our law enforcement officers who work day and night to ensure security of our nation. I condemn this act, really. I condemn this act. I wish I could just play that audio for you. I condemn the act, but I'm also worried about the swiftness with which the police took him to court, prosecuted him, and get him to answer for his misdeed. Whereas, when the police officer did the same thing, we usually
a long process.
We did a story last week of how a police officer, or 2 or 3 of them, were beating a civilian in white apparel. And that did not take a swift reaction.
All right, so I think let's be fair on the police. And I'll be acting as a police devil's advocate in this instance.
Last week, my father is the very person is Allah. It's my father. Also, I will show you, you are bastard. And with your bosses, in this stage, you have all, you have everything. I have power. Allah, you supposed to be praying. But you want me to go away, go ahead. You are mad, you are foolish. Bastard of you, I said it. If not the case, why you doing this? I will show you I'm bigger than you. You want to shoot before? Shoot! Me, as a small, I will kill you. My father is the very person is Allah. It's my father. Also, I will show you, you are bastard. And with your bosses, in this stage, you have all, you have everything. I have power. Allah, you supposed to be praying. But you want me to go away, go ahead. You are mad, you are foolish. bastard of you. I said it. If that's the case, how you join this station? I will show you I'm bigger than you. What do you want to shoot before? Shoot! Me, as a small, I will kill you. My father is the very person. This is Allah. It's my father. Also, I will show you, you're a bastard. I'm with your bosses. In this stage, you have all, you have everything. I have power.
And you know the slow pace at attending to some of these things. However, I think we must also give kudos to the police for one, at least raising the bar a bit by ensuring that police officers who are brought, you know, to public knowledge for abusing authority are properly dealt with. Now that said, one then also needs to ask if there is a swiftness in prosecuting individuals or civilians. I don't call them civilians, individuals who are assault police officers, because even police officers themselves are civilians. If there is a swiftness in prosecuting individuals who assault police officers, I hope the police would also ensure an equal swiftness in prosecuting every other matter before it, so that we don't have cases where people will be in detention for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, without any prosecution. It is also a call on Nigerians also again to also be able to also try as much as possible to know and draw the line with the law.
I mean, why would a civilian, why would a person that is stopped by police be making such threats that I will kill you?
I mean, over the past week, you know, we've seen a lot of cases, especially the one that Oluwaseun mentioned earlier, where we're, you know, calling for swiftness of the authorities to actually do something about it. We've had to call for end to police brutality over the past years and what, you know, law enforcement agencies actually do to citizens. But as much as we are condemning that, we also have to condemn when we see instances like this, because these are authorities. Yes, we can say that we are bad eggs, but that does not mean that we don't have people that actually do their job in these, you know, institutions as well. So I do not think that when he appears like an officer is trying to do his or her job, he or she should not be allowed to do
within the framework of the law, because we also have to be clear about that.
Yeah, definitely.
There are officers who do their job, you know, with the excess on it.
Okay, here is what transpired.
Also, I will show you, you're a bastard. I'm with your bosses. In this stage, you have all, you have everything. I have power.
So many threats to...
Yeah, he was telling him that he's bigger than the police officer, that he will kill him.
They should show him. Let's see whoever is more powerful.
It's just quite unfortunate, you know. Again, it can just be a mere puff. You know, unfortunately,
such an outburst is not acceptable.
Exactly.
And the officers actually looked relaxed.
It was calm.
He wasn't even harassed.
It was calm. Now, there you go. You can find it on our Facebook. It's there. There you go. You can find it there now.
I know the interesting thing is when you see the police officers on the right side of the law, you see this level of calmness in their mien, in their composure, you know, compared to when an officer knows that he is definitely doing the wrong thing.
I mean, we definitely have to extend the same courtesy to uniformed men. If you're saying that when you see somebody, don't profile that person by how the person appears, don't generalize. Then when you see officers as well in uniform, do not generalize until they actually go outside the law. Then that do not react. Definitely respect them, and of course they will serve you the same courtesy as well. But then one legal question that I definitely have is there another part to this video? Because we can see the part where there's Afa, or I don't know, is, you know, lashing out at the officers. So could there have been something that led to that?
Of course, I mean, you could ask that question. But the thing, well, it will not justify
the threat.
His outburst.
Yes.
Unfortunately, there's no CCTV on the highway, you know. So
and he was the one captured. He was the one captured on camera.
To have to provide, you know,
evidence.
That evidence
to show that the police officer actually threatened him.
And I'm sure that he's, you know, he wasn't the only one, in the retinue. I saw another, another cleric, go along. So maybe they were also taking a video. Let's see, the two videos.
If they have a video of how the police also harassed them, or what the police wanted from them, that actually triggered such a reaction. So we want you to make comments about it. Oluwaseun said the truth is that INEC is responsible for the action of its agents. Either it acted rightly or wrongly. It is what it is. I agree that APC candidate was clever by half. Jeremy said we all need serious orientation of mindset in Nigeria, from civilians to politicians to police officers and even the military men.
Definitely.
Ajiba King Abiodun says we have professionals everywhere, even in the air. Let us be law-abiding and respect the rule of law. Is supreme. Oluwaseun says it's a welcome development that the clergy has been charged to court. The court should do justice to the case. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you. Just keep dropping the comments. We would like to hear your thoughts on this matter this morning. Okay, so what other issue that I want to quickly look at? Judge in IU suspension case steps down, transfers file to Benue. And Tinubu, I think Nigeria's constitution allows dual citizenship. That's coming to Fashola, making that statement on Sunday on television. Adama Paul, PDP demands Rex arrest. I don't think they should stop at asking him to stay away from the commission's office.
The man needs to be arrested because what he has done is capable of inflaming, setting the whole state aglow. Yeah. And even the country. Don't forget that there are still issues, as follow-ups to the February 28th election. And now we are having this.
But let's just hope that he can make his way to Abuja through the road, like some of the committee are said to be making their way there today.
Whichever way he wants to get there. Whether
he should get to Abuja.
Whether he wants to teleport himself to Abuja.
He should get to Abuja.
He should just get to Abuja.
And after the meeting, he should be arrested. That's where to go.
Don't forget that someone has
be arrested.
Someone has become his, Joseph of Arimathea, the professor, the national commissioner, who was mistaken for him and was beating black because they thought it was Harry.
Okay, so let's take a break. We have something to do quickly at 7 a.m. Stay with us. Don't go away.
It's 7 a.m.
Start your day
with a cup of rich Lipton Yellow Label tea.
Okay, so this is Ibukun Olagunju and not Oluwagunju. Somebody will put Olagunju or something.
Okay. I keep getting christened every day. I'm getting used to it. Different names.
And I hope you're going to serve all tries.
Thumbs up for you. Okay, so let's get on some other stories here. We want to be...
I mean, that Fashola story that you took about him saying that he thinks Nigeria constitution actually allows dual citizenship. It appears like Keyamo might actually be kind of, trying to make reference to that as well, because there's a headline from Daily Post this morning. People searching for constitution for what to use to disqualify Tinubu. The Minister of State for Labour and Employment, Professor Keyamo, has alleged that some people are searching through the constitution daily on how to disqualify President-elect Bola Tinubu, and he stressed that the ignorance displayed by those trying to disqualify Tinubu is very interesting. And while tweeting, Keyamo also said that those who were defeated during the last election were those behind the plot to disqualify Tinubu.
And what was they expecting them to do? They should start clapping. I don't understand. No, they should start clapping.
Political
and these are people already who are not even who had who have expressed this satisfaction with the process of the election, and then you expect that they will go to the street and start dancing.
Well, you see, the issue of the issue of dual citizenship is something that should be explained properly to people, particularly the legal.
I think into the constitution yesterday, and it wasn't even really.
We need to look at the courts, and
stated.
we need to look at we need to have the courts. For instance, there are some things that need some judicial explanation. For instance, the issue of interpretation on the status of Abuja. There have been several cases on this, but we need a clear interpretation. Don't forget we need to have the 12 to 3rd.
And so we put that to rest.
Yeah, so that we put it to rest. We also need a judicial interpretation on this whole thing about dual citizenship. Mm-hmm. We need a judicial interpretation on whether INEC or not has the powers to change the rules of the game while the game is on. So these are issues that need clear judicial interpretation, so that we don't, we would prevent future occurrences like this.
Okay.
All right.
On the issue of judicial interpretation, there have been a lot of judgments, like he rightly said, concerning this issue. I know you referenced Onoga's judgment yesterday, and you have to read a particular section of the Constitution in conjunction with that section that talks about dual citizenship. Is it when you were born by Nigerian parents or by birth that you don't have to renounce your other citizenship? Is there a difference between being a permanent resident of a particular place and being a citizen of that place? All of those things should be explained. They even brought the argument of honorary residents of a citizen of a city or in the US into this fray, and all of this should be explained. I mean,
which is now the norm. Almost every Nigerian now gets honorary residence.
Particularly all these are elites.
The orientation is definitely needed. It will clarify so many things.
Okay, so you can call us now 0809 155 1055. 0805-699-8678 and 0706-949-3000. We are willing to hear your thoughts on these matters this morning. So join us as we explore these issues together. 0809-155-1055, 0805-699-8678. Someone is on the line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Please, can you speak up a little bit more?
Are you there? Okay, please try to call us back. 0809-155-1055. Ayetuoma Kingsley on Facebook. We see you. Hopefully we can take more comments later. Hello, good morning.
No, it's not coming up.
Okay.
But please call back so that we can pick your call and put you on air. We'd like to hear your thoughts. So when you are on live, speak up a little bit so you can be clearer. Hello. Okay, it's gone.
Okay.
Can we call the numbers again?
0809-155-1055. Hello.
I guess someone is here. Hello.
Yeah, good morning to everyone in the studio.
Good morning.
Oluwaseun,
speak up a little so that I can hear you.
Let us be frank with ourselves. I know constitutionally, dual citizenship is unconstitutional. But what I'm saying is, what does it have to do with good governance? That's my question. What does the dual citizenship have to do with good governance?
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me tell you. I'll answer you. When you say what does it have to do with good governance, if the law says you cannot have dual citizenship, and then you cannot have it,
and I think
they don't talk about allegiance.
Yes, the issue of the history of citizenship, the whole idea of having, being a citizen of, that's why you can't be without the citizenship.
Nobody's stateless.
You can't be stateless.
Hello, Oluwaseun. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oluwaseun Julius Plato and Olagunju. Good morning.
Good morning.
Number one, that wreck. I want to ask a question. Is that man under a spell? Or has he been hypnotized?
That is why he's a wreck. He has to wreck something.
He is reckless. He's a reckless wreck.
Reckless man.
Okay. So there's a reckless wreck.
Yes.
All right. Because honestly, I watched the video clip where he was making that announcement. People were even trying to drag him. And there are policemen there. I was surprised. And they were even telling him, and I want to believe that he was fasting. They were telling him that he cannot do this. He is fasting. He's a Muslim because of Allah. But he reneged all these things, and he still went ahead and announced this thing, and he was even trying to dodge the paper in his pocket to hide it so that nobody would be able to collect it from him. And he knew that he's now kicking against the law, and he's still doing it. I don't know what gave him that boldness, knowing that there are consequences to what he's doing. I don't know. And now, Aisha Bilani going to court, you can see that she's part of it for me, my own opinion, because she has even given an acceptance speech, knowing that the election is not concluded, and now going to court, that everything should be done before they were announced. Honestly, I don't know where they are taking our democracy to. And APC is just bringing precedents that are uncalled for, that are not constitutional, into our system, and they are now making mockery of this democracy. I wish this issue will be resolved quick, so that the people of Adamawa State will not be suffered from their good governance they are getting in that state, or else, I don't know, democracy is being truncated by politicians that are do or die. They are bent on being empowered by force. Oluwaseun, have a good morning.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Thank you. Now, the issue of dual citizenship, actually, what those who pull up this argument are talking about is not just about dual citizenship. It's about perjury. That in the form that Bola Tinubu filled, the form that he filled for INEC for this position, he said it ticked no. By saying
and how do you even take an oath of office where in the oath of office it will be clearly stated that you give allegiance to Nigeria and Nigeria alone when you are a carrier of a dual citizenship?
Okay, so good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Charles.
Good morning to everyone in the studio.
Thank you, Charles.
That's yeah. Dual citizenship has a lot to do about who becomes the president, because that allegiance will be divided, and that is what we don't want. So we have to really look into the constitution if it's there, and if it's there, this person should be disqualified, irrespective of who he is. Secondly, on what happened in Adamawa State, I am not surprised. I am not shocked by what happened in Adamawa, because if election chairman, with all the irregularities that happened in that election, can say come out boldly to tell us that the election is free and fair, that was too arrogant of him. I heard Mr. Anthony talking yesterday that they were asking him if there were any written document that says that the thing should be transmitted through the...
No.
It is not only
No. Hold on, because you are quoting me. Don't misquote me. I said, is there a place in the Act or in the INEC regulation that says if the election result is not uploaded in IREV, then it's invalidated the result and it cannot be announced? Is there anything like that?
But do you know in the court, it's not only what is in the Act and can tender in the court. When you make pronouncements or you make promises, and you have evidence to prove that this person made that promise in court, it can be tendered.
That's not what I'm saying. See, there are two different things. Let me explain myself again. What I'm saying is, the fact that the election results from different polling units were not uploaded to the IRF, does that invalidate the result? And does that make the fact that they cannot announce the result because it was not uploaded? That's what I'm asking. That's just the simple question I'm asking.
If the promises made by election chairman is on tape,
the promise he made was a promise that, hold on, if the promise he made was a promise he made stating that if they do not upload it to the IRF, then they cannot announce it. That's what I'm saying now. It's just a simple argument.
I know. What I'm saying is that you make promises of people who are in high spirit based on this, and a lot of people come out that they want to vote because
yes.
That's their hope by not doing that.
Yes.
And somebody can take it to court if he have it.
Yes.
That is what the man said, and he has dashed my hope. And
I think let's just test the waters in court.
Yeah. So see, you have set a very good background to it.
So in all, what I'm trying to say is that we should demand a sense of responsibility and discipline from those people in the helm of affairs. If we want those people who are working under them,
all right,
to do same. Thank you.
All right, thank you so
much.
Thank
you, Mr. Charles.
I mean, a lot of promises were even made leading to the elections.
See, people don't understand my position yesterday, and maybe I should state it clearly and then we'll sign out. What I was saying yesterday was, look, did INEC in any way, by documentation or anyhow, promise that if we do not upload the result to the IREV, then the result cannot be read or cannot be announced? it's different from someone who did not announce the result. All he was doing was to proclaim a winner without giving us any data or figure. It's not the same thing as what Mahmoud did in Abuja.
Even the collation was not even was yet to be completed.
It was underway, as they said.
See, Barrister Ari was a man who saw into the future. So he knew what the results were going to be.
They showed him the vision.
It was just a post-announced results.
Okay, so gentlemen and ladies, let's further this conversation at 8 o'clock. I'm still interested. Maybe you can educate me on this matter, because I do not know where some of these results are still not on IREV. Some of these are still not on IREV, even as I speak. I still check. So does that invalidate the announcement? So let's let the court decide, and wherever the court decides becomes the law.
All right,
we have to go.
We definitely have to go, and the conversation continues. Jeremy says, I think our constitution needs to be interpreted in our 3 major local languages. We'll come back to that when we come back by 8 a.m. I am Ibukun Olagunju. Good morning.
Thank you, Plato, for coming here.
This one,
I'm Oluwaseun Akinola. Good morning.
Splash FM 105.5.
Èyíkéyìí ọkọ̀ tó bá ń wà. Ó nílò ààbò tó péye. Máa dágunlá jẹ́ kó jẹ́ mobile. Níbikíbi tó bá wà ló mú ojúlówó. Ó yá sọ pé. Jẹ́ kó jẹ́ mobile. Mobile ní ìṣúlẹ̀ ọjọ́. Jẹ́ kó jẹ́ mobile. Lọ pẹ̀lú ojúlówó. Jẹ́ kó jẹ́ mobile.
Larry Bobo, you are back again. You really like coming to our house these days, oh.
My sister, don't mind this boy. It's too much waka waka.
Mommy, is it not because they cut our lights because you and Daddy didn't pay that I started coming here to watch TV?
Larry, shh, keep quiet. Tatafo.
Children can forehand, Sha. Pay your electricity bills now to avoid the embarrassment that comes with disconnection. Pay or vend for electricity using debit card or bank transfer at any IBEDC cash office. You can also pay through our online channels like Fet Wallet,